Hola a todos! We are continuing on our unit on the differences between the preterite and the imperfect. Today we're going to look at those reasons in depth, but before we do, let's review what the reasons are. From our previous notes, we used the preterite to communicate something that has been completed, something with a clear or definite ending. As a rule of thumb, preterite means you complete it. Now I like to use this little snap because I snap and it's done. We use the preterite for actions. That's something you did once and it's done, a single action. If something got interrupted, for the main event of your story, for a beginning, like an inciting incident, and if someone arrives or departs. Those are all uses of the preterite. The imperfect, on the other hand, we use for things that used to happen, for things that were ongoing, things that don't have a clear ending, a clear start, or a clear beginning. Yeah. So our imperfect tense are for characteristics and descriptions to describe someone's health, emotion, their age, the time, most commonly for endless activities or for habits, and finally for the date. So keeping each of these reasons in mind, we are going to pick the better translation of each sentence. First one, if I want to say I was watching television while my mom was cooking, we want to use the imperfect. This is because this is an endless activity. It's an ongoing action. We don't know how long she was cooking for. We don't know when she stopped. That's an endless activity. The key word here, mientras. While, that's going to be a good hint that that's the imperfect. Next, she went to the mall yesterday. She went to the mall. We're going to use ella fue al centro. This is because this is just a single occurrence. It's one thing she did yesterday. Our big hint here is ayer. Ayer is yesterday. We used to go to the museum. If we used to go, that's going to be the imperfect. We want íbamos because that is a habit. It's something we used to do. Number 4, I was 15 when I learned to drive. If I was 15, that's my age, so we'll go with the imperfect here. My dad was playing golf when it began to rain. He was playing. This is the action that was interrupted before or by the rain. So you'll notice the rain is in the preterite tense. Comenzó, it started. However, we are looking at the difference between jugó and jugaba. We don't know. It's an endless or ongoing kind of thing. We don't know how long he was playing for. I spelled ongoing wrong. Ongoing. So that's the imperfect. You were short and nice. Here we have a description that will give us the imperfect. I used to travel to Mexico. Used to, that's an indication that again we will want the imperfect. This is a habitual thing. It was midnight when the witch died. Rest in peace. Time is imperfect. Notice that murió, the witch dying, that's an action. That's our main action. It was midnight and she died. Boom, a single action. So that's the preterite. She needed to buy clothes, and that is why she went shopping on Saturday. Notice she went shopping on Saturday. That's a single action or even our main action. So we have fue. That's the imperfect. That's not up for debate. we want to know necesitó, necesitaba. Well, she needed to buy clothes. That's setting the scene. That's an endless activity. That's kind of an ongoing thing. Let's go necesitaba. I was going to go to John's party. Was going to. That's another endless activity. So we have iba. Iba a ir. I was going to go to his party. We're going to take a quick break and I'll introduce you to some new phrases if you want to start telling a story. Once upon a time translates to érase una vez. And a long time ago translates to hace muchos años. Fun fact. Keep those in your arsenal for when you ever want to tell a story. Okay, 3 more sentences. They made their bed every morning. If they did that every single morning, we want to use the imperfect here. Because every morning, that's a habit. I used to live in China. This one is actually a little bit tricky. The used to implies an endless. That's something you did for a long time. There's no clear. I lived in China until vivía en China. However, sometimes you could use the preterite, especially if you're talking about how long you lived there. So if you said viví en China por 4 meses. Now that we've got that time on there, I lived there for only 4 months, then we could use the preterite. But I used to live in China, we'll use vivía en China. Finally, the students read, studied, and did their homework yesterday. When we have a list of verbs, that's a great indication that we'll want to use the preterite. It's not always, but it's a good hint. Now again, these are always things they did yesterday. Because it's something they did once yesterday, we want to use the preterite tense. We're using the preterite because this is like our main action or a single action. If you've been listening closely, you'll notice that some of these have multiple reasons that I could have picked the preterite or the imperfect. For example, down here in our last one, it's a main event or it's a single event. Okay. Here, is it an endless activity? Sure. This is a habit. Okay. Forgot what my other examples are. It's not important to me that you pick the correct reason. It's important to me that you pick the correct imperfect versus the preterite. Because some of these are debatable. Like in this last one, you'd say, this is, the main event of the story. Okay, sure. Then it's the preterite. Or if you say, no, this is a single action because they did it once. They did it yesterday. Okay, it's the preterite. Or if you said, this is a completed action. Therefore, it's the preterite. Okay, great. Reason is not very important. What's important to me is that you know it's the preterite and not the imperfect. So again, be able to identify that you want to know it's the preterite or it's the imperfect. I will not ask you on a quiz to say, oh, is this health or is this emotion? Because, emotion is a part of your health. Just know that it's the imperfect. For example, in Actividad C, I give you some sentences in Spanish, and I ask that you pick the correct tense. Let's go ahead and read through Actividad C. Pick what you think the verb should be, and then let's correct them. Okay, número 1. Ayer por la tarde. That's a big hint that we want to use the preterite. El hombre estaba feliz, because we're talking about his emotion. CJ y Dylan iban a las montañas, because cada invierno, every single winter they went. That's a great hint. Nosotros hicimos un viaje a Madrid, Our hint here is el año pasado. Last year, that's one trip that we took. Hicimos. Yo comí una ensalada anteayer. The day before yesterday, I ate a salad. One time, done. Las muchachas llegaron hace 3 horas. 3 hours ago, they arrived. That's an arrival, so it's the preterite. Los buenos alumnos generalmente estudiaban antes de un examen. They generally studied before a test. That's a habit. Ella frecuentemente me llamaba antes de las 8. She frequently called me. That's a habit. ¿Comías carne todas las semanas? Did you used to eat meat all the weeks, every single week? That's a habit. No miraste televisión en ese momento. In that moment, you were not watching TV. That's one single thing, giving us the preterite. Ustedes veían a José cada semana. Every single week, you saw José. That's a habit. Cristina bebió jugo de naranja esta mañana. This morning, something she did once. El gato siempre volvía a la misma hora. It always returned. That's a habit. La mujer trabajó por 8 horas. She worked for 8 hours and then is done. We have a clear ending there. So we use the preterite. Porque el hombre nunca tenía dinero. He never had money. That's an endless kind of poverty. He never had money, so that gives us the imperfect. Aledis visitaba a Josh muy a menudo. He visited him frequently, very often. In fact, that's a habit. This gives us the imperfect. Nosotros íbamos a la playa cada verano, every summer. That's the imperfect tense. Tomaste té ayer por la mañana. Yesterday morning you had tea. That is one single action. Preterite. Nosotros compramos una casa el mes pasado. Last month we bought a house. It's not like we continually or got in the habit of purchasing houses. We don't have that kind of funds. So because that's one thing, preterite. And José venía aquí todos los días. Every day he came here. That's ongoing, repetitive, habitual. That's the imperfect tense. So again, the preterite is used for actions that are completed, that you do once, you kind of snap and it's done. The imperfect is ongoing with no clear ending. Now for each of these, let's figure out first, should we use the preterite or the imperfect? Then we'll look at the verb, and then we'll put it in the correct tense. So James met you 4 months ago. Preterite or imperfect? Here we'll want to use the preterite because meeting someone is just a one-time deal. Number 2, we wanted to buy that necklace. Well, wanting, that's kind of an ongoing thing. So that's going to be the imperfect. They refused to sing. That's a one-time. They refused to do it. Done. Preterite. And then finally, Min knew that we had eaten. To know, that's an ongoing kind of thing. We'll want to use the imperfect. So let's go ahead and put these in. Let's conjugate each of the verbs. So we want to take conocer, means to meet. To want is querer. Refuse, we can use querer for refuse. There are a couple other verbs too. And finally, to know, but know that we'd eaten, that's a saber kind of knowledge. Here we go. Let's translate each of these sentences. James met you. We're going to put that you first. Te conoció hace 4 meses. We wanted to buy that necklace. Queríamos comprar. Do we want to use ese o aquel? Let's go with aquel. Collar. They refused to sing. No quisieron cantar. And finally, Min knew that we had eaten. Min sabía que habíamos comido. Go ahead and take some time and explain the key idea between the preterite tense and the imperfect tense. Remember, they both talk about the same tense. They talk about the past tense, but there's 2 different kinds of past tenses. Include the different reasons in your answer. You also might want to include a summary statement. What do these all have in common? Using your pictures as a hint. And give a couple examples of when you can use them. And enjoy your homework.